The following message is from King's Church 1066, based in Hastings, Bexhill and the surrounding area. For more information, head to our website, kings1066.org.
Thank you, Joe. Before we talk about what we're doing this morning, I was going to say housekeeping. I don't know why I nearly said housekeeping. I don't think I've ever said that word in my life. Last week we had a New Day cake sale. And it was there to raise money for those that would not be able to afford to go to New Day. And last year we broke a record as a venue. And so I thought, would you guys like to know how much we raised last week at our New Day cake sale? About 6 of you want to know. Oh, I'll keep it to myself then. It's on my notes. I know what it is. So it costs around £200 to send a young person to New Day on average. And so last week, the generosity of the church and people that gave cakes, well, we raised £558 to send young people to New Day. So thank you, Jenny. That is 6-ish young people that maybe couldn't go to New Day can now go. The other thing I'd love to just very quickly share is we had a great morning so far, and what we're talking about in here is also being shared about in King's Kids. And so if you've got a child that is in reception year 2 or year 3 to year 6, what you're hearing in here is also being shared in the other groups. And so hopefully, put your hand up if you haven't got a jigsaw puzzle piece. If you haven't got one. Has everyone got one? If you haven't got one, can you just give us a wave and then the stewards will come and we got a couple just at the back. In your pocket, that's all right. Andy Garlick was disobedient and didn't follow. You've got one, Paul. Oh, someone stole Paul's one. So just keep your hand up nice and high, just for the stewards to come and give you a jigsaw puzzle piece. Just keep hold of it. You don't need to do anything with it just yet. And whilst they're being handed out, if you've got a Bible with you, why don't you turn to Romans 10, 13 to 15. Romans 10, 13 to 15, whilst they're being handed out. I've called this morning, I like titles, they're good fun. I spend too much time thinking about titles. I've called it Ears and Feet. And as we explore more this morning, we're going to hear why we called it Ears and Feet. So hopefully you found Romans 10, 13 and 15. If you haven't got a Bible, why don't you grab one? We've got some to give away at the end of the gathering. Why don't you grab one? It's totally fine. Or if you just forgot, then bring it next week. Right, Romans 10 says this. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? Next, is there another bit? Well done. I was really feeling it this morning. As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. That's why we've called it Ears and Feet. I find that when I was looking at this, Paul asks 4 questions in a row, doesn't he, as we read it? And they're not random questions, however, they are quite urgent questions, aren't they? And they can really lead to unavoidable reality, which is simply this. If no one goes, then no one hears. Apology, a bit nice. No. This is about real people. This sort of idea is about your friends, your neighbours, your family, your patch, your area, your street. It's about Hastings. It's about 1066 country. I think about my family and those that don't know Jesus. This is about them. And so my question to you is, who is this about for you? I thought Alid and the band led so well with shout Jesus from the mountains, Jesus in the streets. It's not quiet. It's about going out and taking it out. And so that's what we're looking at this morning. Ears and feet, taking it out into our kind of out of these 4 walls. Bit of context for you. Paul is writing to the church in Rome. He's basically saying, who is salvation for? And in Romans 10:13, he says, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. The gospel is people that have got it all together, not just one ethnic group, No. The gospel is for everyone. Here comes the hard bit, or I think it can be sometimes hard. Everyone can be saved. The gospel is for everyone, but not everyone has heard the gospel, have they? And we might think, well, we do RE lessons in the UK. Like Joe said, I go in this. Why did Jesus die? Oh, because people did bad stuff. Like the biblical literacy, this is just with our teenagers, like in schools is pretty low. And so not everyone has heard. But what I love is Paul doesn't just leave it there going, we need to do stuff. Paul then takes it one step further with a little bit of a chain line, which you'll see on the screens. It says this, we're sent, we preach, and we're going to go into that in a second. We hear, or they believe, they get called, and then they're saved. God has chosen to use people, you and me, to bring the message. And I think about it. I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, God, why do you use people like me? I'm kind of a bit stupid. I'm not that intelligent. My background is musical theatre, right? I can point my toes, and after that, I'm stuck, right? I'm not. I'm just a normal person. Why would God use me? You could do anything. You could put it in the stars, in space, and say, come follow me. Yet he chooses you and me. He chose the glorious, glorious church. And so if you're thinking this morning, I can't be used to share the gospel, maybe you're online or in Coffee Box, you think, I'm not sure. If you take anything away, God chose you. He chose you. So we all have a part to play, don't we? We all have a part to play. Have you read in verse 15, how can they preach unless they are sent? Mission starts with being sent. Mission starts saying, I'm not going to just contain these four walls. I'm going to go out. So who does God send? He sends you and me. He sends the church. Not just the staff team. Not just the evangelists. Not just the extroverts. Not just those that have got it all together. Not just those that have got, that are really popular or on social media or anything like that. No. God calls the church. You and me. And in the book of Isaiah 52:7, Paul actually quotes and he says, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. I don't know about you, but feet are grim. I think they're gross. They are sweaty and smelly and I don't like them. They're not for me. And so I would rather have, how beautiful are anything else that's nicer to bring good news. But it doesn't say that. There's something about feet going places. It doesn't say how beautiful is the stage. It doesn't say how beautiful are the lights or the marketing campaigns or anything like that. No. It says feet. Feet go places. Ordinary people like you and me. Ordinary people carrying extraordinary news. We've sang it throughout today. We are saved by grace. It's Jesus that saves us, but we've got a part to play, which is proclaiming the gospel, in telling people about him. We have a responsibility that God is the one who saves, but there's an element that we need to speak. And you might be thinking, I could never do that. And in a minute, we're going to hear from a few people. I'll ask them to come in just a moment, where it's these are normal people. Just being normal. And hopefully, by the end of it, you go, I can do this. It's not just for the crazy people. It's for everyone. If you've got your puzzle piece, can you hold it in your hand for me? Everyone hopefully has got one. Like I said, King's Kids are going to get one as well because they also play their part in this. It's important that we are the church, including the kids and the teenagers. This on its own is a puzzle piece. It's random. It's on my one anyway, it's orange and a bit red and a bit of yellow. You wouldn't actually know what it is. It's incomplete. It doesn't show the whole picture, does it? It shows a bit of it. But this puzzle piece, imagine we got the correct amount of puzzle pieces and they all fitted together. If we connected them all together, it would show that we're part of something bigger than just us. And you've all got one, not because you're a spare part, Often we can feel like spare parts, can't we, in the church? In a big church like this, I'm just a spare part. No. Please hear me on this. You are a vital part to the church. The church is like a puzzle piece. So this is yours to take away, a free gift. Aren't you lucky? Some pieces in this puzzle are for gifts of hospitality. Some of it is to pray, speak boldly, build relationships. Some people it is to shout Jesus from the mountains. That's not for me. But we all play a unique part in the church to share the gospel. And no single piece shows the whole picture. This picture was actually, I just found it online. It's like some flowers and things like that. It's very pretty. But actually, this image is the church reflecting Jesus to our community. What happens if we put all the pieces together and Joe said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play my part. The puzzle is incomplete. It doesn't show the whole picture. What happens if Joe would never do this? Joe says, I'm not going to do my puzzle piece. And then Maddie says, I'm not doing mine. And Sam says, not doing mine. And I'm not doing mine. All of a sudden, there's lots of gaps in the puzzle piece proclaiming the gospel, isn't there? There's an incompleteness to it. But we all carry our own puzzle piece, and we've all got to play our part. Like I say, if we remove the pieces, there's gaps. And you might be thinking, Dan, evangelism is really not my thing. I used to think that for ages, if I'm honest. I could never do it like so-and-so. I could never be like them. I'm too odd, I'm too loud, I don't know, I haven't got all the answers. What do I do? Well, before we have some answers to this, what does playing your part look like? It might mean, being outgoing. It might mean standing on the street corner. It might mean you know all the answers. But what I think it really means is being available. It means being available for people to come and just be with people. It might look like inviting someone over for a coffee. Like literally, it can be that simple. It might be offering to pray for someone when they are struggling. It might be bringing someone to church. It might be teaching children. If you're a parent in the room, part of that is you going on mission is discipling your kids. Part of that is that. It might be just listening to someone, like not saying anything. It might be leading them to Jesus on the street, and that's where you want to get to. But in Romans 10, it's more than just preaching. Someone is sent. That's us. Someone speaks, someone listens, someone prays, someone invites. Every step is important. And if you play your part, someone else's piece might connect. The only thing with this puzzle analogy is obviously puzzles have edges, which means that eventually they get finished and there's they get to some point. If I had time, I would have taken every single edge out of it, because the church, the gospel, is not just for a limited few. The gospel is for everyone. And almost as someone gives their life to Jesus, like, right, here's your puzzle piece. Who are you going to connect with? Who are you going to play your part with? And I say this is good, sort of what the Bible says and things like that, but I think it's good to hear some real stories about what people are doing in the everyday and normal life. So I've asked a few of my friends, so Lou, Debbie, Jeremy, Harley, and Steve. Do you want to come on up? Come on up, come on up. Let's give a big round of applause as they come on up. Yeah. I'm going to come on down. No, I'm going to come on up. Right. We haven't got an order for this bit. I've asked these guys. These guys are ones that I'm aware of basically taking the gospel a bit out of these four walls. And so I've got some questions, but also very happy to let you guys just talk for a couple of minutes if you want. So this is Steve. Do you want to just share a little bit about how you're sharing the gospel, taking it out of these four walls, why you do it, how you started doing it, all that sort of stuff for me? Good luck.
So that's a whole sermon in itself, isn't it? Thanks, Dan. It started for me when I became a Christian, because when you become a Christian, it changes you and it fills you with joy, and that overspills and you just want to share that good news. So that's when it started. How do I do it? Well, it's changed over the years, I have to confess, from being intentionally evangelistic and going out in teams to doing it more informally. So it's amazing how the Lord brings people into your life that you as an individual I'm meant to have a conversation with. So for Paula and I, it's been the elderly. And the Lord makes it blatantly obvious that we need to speak to a certain person because that person either falls down in front of us and has an accident, or they're struggling against the wind in a storm. So that's happened recently as well, which has enabled us then to take them home and to pray for them and share faith that way. So it's amazing how the Lord has been doing that. And it reminds me of 1 Peter 3:15, I think it is, where always be prepared to share the hope you have when asked, interestingly enough, when asked. And it's amazing how many people will ask you about your faith, and that's permission to talk. So you can be intentionally evangelistic, or you can respond to people's questions, which has been a real blessing to me.
Brilliant.
So that's Steve saying there's a need. I'm going to follow the need of it. This is Harley, who's part of our St. Leonard's venue. Harley, do you want to just share a bit about why you started sharing the gospel, how it looks, any wisdom or advice from a young person?
Hello, everybody. I am at the St. Leonard's venue, and I'm also at school. I'm at Ark Alexandra, which is next to us. So yeah, I guess my story of evangelism began when I was 15 last year in January. And our youth worker left the school, and we had this Bible study type thing at lunchtime, and I was asked to kind of take it over, which was very stressful as 15 years old, and there was only 2 of us, and it was fun for a period of time, and we didn't see much fruit. So then, I think developing at St. Leonard's, there's a big push on evangelism, obviously with John, who's John is John, yeah. So under that discipleship, I read this book called The Forgotten Manifesto of Jesus, which talks a lot about what evangelism looks like. And the first point it starts off with is it begins with prayer. It begins with prayer. In Matthew 10, we read that it says to pray earnestly for workers, right? It says the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore, pray earnestly for workers. So it begins with prayer completely. Because I can't do it on my own. I learned that the hard way. I cannot do it on my own. And the same way you can't do it on your own, but God does it, and that's His will, right? That's His will. So it begins with prayer, and then it brings that and stepping out in faith. And like you already said, Dan, it's it doesn't have to be sharing your gospel one-on-one, but it does mean showing love to people and showing God and showing His personality. So whether that means having a coffee with someone or being an ear. And I think this is kind of discipleship as well. I think evangelism and discipleship are very, very similar in the terms of it's just doing life with somebody. It's just hearing someone out. It's hearing their situation. And that is evangelism. That 100% is evangelism. Hearing people's stories and having a biblical viewpoint on it, being able to share that, yeah. And then now you're really sharing the gospel. I think sometimes we overcomplicate it, but really it's just doing life with somebody and praying to begin with. And having a church and a community that prays with you as well, and able to discipleship one another and disciple the people you're also walking with as well. So, yeah.
So Harley, there was a need, and I'm nervous about. I'm going to step into it. I'm basically going to give it a go. So what happens? This is Debbie. Debbie, do you want to share a little bit about what you've been doing with the school gate and things like that?
Yeah. Well, I'll say to start with, when my children were young and I was going to the school gate, it was totally different. I think you go through seasons, and I would never have spoken to anybody then. It was hide away. I would speak to my family or people that I knew really well. But this time round, I've got some foster children and going to the school gate again. It's all been about just making friendships, stepping out and getting to know people. But the amazing thing is I've been part of 2 connect groups and made some really good friendships there. And I've been able to invite mums from the school gate along to events where I'm going with people from the church as well. And they've seen such a difference in how we sort of live life, really. And it's been more about, what we do, and they've seen that and commented on it, and they've said, I've never known such a kind, amount of people who just step out and do things for them. And I don't know what I'm going to say now, but yeah, but there's been, I'm just trying to think. We've invited them on bike rides and things like that, silly things. But we've been able to then talk to them about church life, about Jesus, and invite them along to the Alpha. We've had one coming along on the Alpha at the moment, 2 others who wanted to come. So I'm hoping the evening one will be more accessible for them. But they've just seen a difference in and they want to be how we are.
Yeah. So it's about doing normal things. Yeah. Gone on bike. If you want to go on a bike ride, ask Debbie. Jeremy, do you want to share about the hairdressers?
Yeah. Well, do you know one? No. I don't meet many non-Christians. The thing is, working with the church and for the churches, I don't always have an opportunity. And what I've learned, and this is so simple, I've learned to ask people how they are. And I think you can either ask like this, so how are you, all right? And you've almost answered it for them. Or you can say, Dima, how are you? And actually, if you make eye contact and ask it like that, people do actually tell you how they are. And so I've been going along to a hairdresser, and we've been talking about the church. We've been talking about this place. She said, I come here sometimes for coffee because it's a safe place to bring my kids. That's interesting, isn't it? And I went to her just before Christmas, and I said, oh, hi, how are you? And she started to well up, and she said, oh, not good today. I've got to go for a biopsy, and I'm really scared. And I said, oh, that's sad. And we talked a bit about fear. We talked about peace. And at the end of her cutting my hair, I didn't want to do it while she was cutting my hair because I valued my ears. I said to her, could I just pray with you? And listen, I've prayed with loads of people over the years. Nobody's ever said no, by the way, because they don't expect you to pray for them there and then. They just expect you to be religious and go home. And I said, can I pray for you? She said, yes. I said, can I actually pray for you right now? And there's nobody else in the hairdressers at that point, which is wonderful. And I said, would you mind if I just put my hand on your shoulder? I know that's weird, but that's how we often pray. She said, that would be lovely. So I put my hand on her shoulder, I prayed, and she starts weeping and just saying, oh, I've got peace. Now, I hadn't heard from her for weeks, about 5 or 6 weeks, like you do. Went back, first thing I said to her, hi, how are you? Oh, I've got the all clear. And now she was then very grateful. Now, we haven't yet led her to Jesus, but it's a part of the story. Everyone here can ask somebody, how are you? And mean it. Don't answer it for them. How are you? And then respond to how they are.
These are just different resources, different tips, advice. Lou, do you want to share what God's doing outside of these 4 walls with you?
It really started with my own journey with Jesus. I've been a Christian. I've allowed Jesus to rule my life and reign in my life for a long time. But I'm quite a shy person, and I won't do something unless someone asks me to do it. So I won't have that drive to speak to people, go out. And I have 3 children, and so God's given me I have the privilege to be a mother and to help disciple them. And that's felt like a really good training ground for just learning about what a relationship with Jesus needs to look like if we're going to allow him to lead our life. And so through my struggles with parenting, I just wanted people to really know how real a relationship with Jesus is. So the mundane things of life, relying on the Holy Spirit to be our helper. There's so much truth in the word that we can read over sometimes, and what it comes down to is knowing that relationship with Jesus should be full of joy. It should be something that we want to shout about. It should be something that we have hope for the future in. So God put a desire in my heart. I have children who would say they're neurodiverse, so there's a lot of struggles with communication and socializing. And I know that a lot of people can feel misunderstood in this world. And I wanted to help them to realize that Jesus doesn't misunderstand them. Jesus knows their heart and is for them. So we've begun a prayer group, first of all, called Seen, Known, Loved. And it's where families with children and that have neurodiversity or additional needs. And we come together every week and we pray. That's all we do. We don't discuss all the rights and wrongs of the world. We just pray. We allow Jesus to come down into situations, and we've seen so much fruit, and I'm so excited because the realness of Jesus, that he can help with getting children into school when they're refusing, helping children to know peace when they feel like everything's against them. And I'm just so excited and overwhelmed that, the next generation, there's so much hope for them realizing that it doesn't matter how the setup of your life is, Jesus is the same. He's always been the same. He's very real, and he's a very personal God. So let's just keep praying for that. Yeah.
Do you guys want to take a seat? I mean, these guys are normal people, just sharing the gospel in normal ways, through doing it just in everyday conversations. Bad. Do you want to just come on up? We're slightly overrunning. If we could we let King's Kids know we're going to run? So hopefully you get it. You matter. You matter. So do you want to stand to your feet for me if you're... Sorry. What am I meant to say?
Stand up.
Stand up. Oh, yeah. Stand to your feet. Stand up sounds a bit more blunt, doesn't it? Stand up. So my question is, there is an urgency here in proclaiming the gospel. Please hear me, it's not about Hastings venue getting bigger. It's not about Friday Night Live getting bigger or King's Kids getting bigger. It's about eternal hope. That's what it's about. I'm not that bothered about numbers anymore. I really am not. What I want to see is people responding to Jesus. The answer isn't self-help. There's so many books about that. How can I improve? How can I get better? It's not about getting better habits, it's Christ. And we know that. But do our colleagues know that? Do our neighbours know that? Do our friends know that? I don't know about you, but I don't often have to just try and force anything out. It's just out of who I am. Jeremy at the hedgerow, it's just who he is. Debbie at the school, it's just who she is. I talk about my son Dougie a lot because I spend lots of time with him and I've got stories to share about him and I want people to know about him. I want people to know about Jesus. So I spend time with Jesus in the private time, in the bit that isn't glamorous, and it just comes out. If we sang anyone, Jesus, you love me, you love me, you love me. That should be our starting point. He loves you. Now let's go and take it out. This isn't a guilt thing, you don't have to. But hopefully it drives you to. So that puzzle piece, that is yours. That's yours to take away this week. And you can put it in your purse, in your wallet, in your coat, in your jeans, in your sock. I don't really care where you put it. On your fridge. As a reminder that you have a place in this community to go and share the gospel. You are not accidental. You're not unnecessary. You're not overlooked. You are sent. So you can ask God, who is the person you want me to talk to this week? Lord, show me my part and give me courage to play it. Our community will see Jesus more clearly when we all play our part.